Hey, everybody. So we are going to do a little bit of a practice. We're going to do a dry run first without using essential oil. And then after that, we're going to do it with oils, right? And so, yeah, maybe we'll just do the practice instead of an explanation. Let's just do the practice and then we can talk about it after you have the experience. So, you know, this isn't necessarily the explanation. I'm just going to kind of give you a little bit of an explanation, but when you put your awareness on your heart versus like your solar plexus, when you're doing things like if you're to sit and trying to integrate something and your awareness is on the heart versus the solar plexus, it's going to be easier to integrate because of the nature of the chakra and the kind of energy that you feel when that center is a little bit more activated or stimulated, right? So if you're a little bit more focus oriented, you might be a little bit more attention here. If you're more aware of your surroundings, your attention might be a little bit more aware of, or your attention's on your forehead, which makes you more aware of your environment, right? Harder to focus, but more aware of the things going on around you, right? So we have these different centers in our body that will, the combination kind of makes up our experiences, our way of thinking, feeling, seeing, behaving, and like you could almost say like the current state that you're in, although that state fluctuates, but a lot of us will identify with that state, right? And so there's those components, but even within the body, there are certain things that if they're unlocked, um, they make you feel different, think different. They affect the nervous system. They affect the endocrine system, and it's almost like unlocking a door to something, right? And so there's different kinds of energies stuck in different places that they're not necessarily about a particular chakra, but they're more about just like how the body is evolving. So when we talk about purifying the form, it's not just like, oh, I want to be cleaner or I want to be, whatever. As you go through and you clean things up, there's these like little treasures, you could say, that you can tap into that will accelerate your healing process or your spiritual practice, right? And so one of the things that we are always trying to do is, we're cleaning things up, we're activating things, we're mixing things, but we're trying to get closer and closer to being able to touch some of these things. And what the classes that we're laying out and the things that we've been doing, we're getting closer and closer to tapping into certain things, or at least attempting. And so even if you haven't had a class with us or whatever, and you just do the study groups, still like journey down this with us a little bit. So with that, we're going to just do a little bit of an experiment. And this is again tied to the things that we're doing with the Sundafon healing technique and what we're doing with the essential oils, and some of the last newer classes over the last several months are all kind of tied into some of these processes. And sometimes it doesn't look like these things are being done in a particular structure, but they are being done in a particular structure. And there's a kind of a thing that we're unfolding. And so with that, I'd like to do just a little bit of an experiment. It's not so much like this is an educational process, but let's just start doing a little bit of an experiment. And again, this is the play with light, or what you would also call essence, and your form. And that could be your body, your thought processes, your viewpoints, your opinions, things like this, and emotional patterns. So we're going to do a little bit of this play between how essence and form interact with each other. And there is a version of this that's more for the form, and there's a version of this that's more for the essence. And when done together, they produce a very rapid effect. But it's almost like you have to gently start approaching this over a period of time, right? So we're going to, instead of using essential oils right now, we're actually going to do this with a little bit of visualization and just get used to putting your attention on a particular spot before we move into doing it with oils, right? So first off, what I'd like you to do is just take a moment and just sit with yourself. See how you think, how you feel, uh, how your body's feeling, the tension, the state that you're in. Reflect on things that have been going on the last several days or weeks, just to get a reflection of where you're at with things. Like just do a little inventory. Okay. So let's do this for a second. So on the very tip top of your head, like right like the crown of your head, not just the crown chakra, but the very tip top of your head. Like if you kind of poke on the top of your head there, you can kind of feel, sometimes it's even a little bit of tenderness, but like just kind of square in the middle of the head, like the center. Put your awareness there and just put your awareness there for a moment. Not so much on the crown, but just on that very small spot on your crown.
Yeah, that hurt.
Like touching it or?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there is an artery that's just below that, but there that spot can be a little bit tender, and people with bad headaches and migraines can actually have a very tender spot right there. Just keep your attention up on that spot. If you need to touch it again, just to keep, you don't have to push on it hard, but just push on that spot just so you know where it's at. And then just keep your attention on that little, about the size of a 50-cent piece. And with your awareness there, notice how you feel. Your body, your emotions, your mind. Now, with your awareness there, in that small little area, sitting right on top of your head, that same spot, visualize a brilliant star right on that spot. Continue to visualize the brilliant star. And then just let go for a moment. Just let everything go. Where did you notice? Okay.
She started to hurt. Found myself distracted by the whole like what kind of star is it talking about thing.
Mhm. Okay, so you're gonna go now. Let's pull out an oil. Let's make this a little simpler. Pull out an oil. If you have the Soundafon oil from the Soundafon healing technique, you can use that. If not, you can use another angel oil. If you don't have that, maybe something like spikenard or vetiver or Siberian fir, something of that nature. Palo Santo. Put your awareness up on that spot again, the very tip top of your head. Visualize the star and that little spot on the very tip top of your head. And as you visualize the star, just begin inhaling with your awareness on that little spot on your head. Now let that go. Begin inhaling again on the backside of your knees. Make your awareness is on the backside of your knees. You're still inhaling on the backside of your knees. And then your ankles, the front side of your ankles. And then the soles of your feet. And, and then just let go for a moment. And then again, begin inhaling the backside of your knees. And then your ankles. And then the soles of your feet. And then just let go. Let go of everything, just let go. Okay, I'm just curious. Like, let's share some experiences. Give me some feedback. It just helps me to know where everybody's at. Even if it doesn't make any sense to you, just kind of tell me where you're at.
You can type in, you can unmute yourself.
There was a difference between using the oil versus not using it. Like when you visualize the brilliant star,
Mhm.
you kind of like feel it, but it just felt more expansive once you did it with
Right.
the oil.
Right. And so how are you doing, like mentally, emotionally, physically? What did you notice in your body? I'm just curious.
Just like doing it without even the oils just calms you down.
Okay.
Like
Okay.
almost like if you get like peace enters your body type of thing
Okay.
without the oil.
Good.
Like I was surprised, right?
Yeah. Something's happening, and like we've been preparing for this for quite a while. It could be like sometimes it's peace, and sometimes there's something that you have to let go of for there to be the peace. You know what I mean? And so it's not even like you have to know what it is. Sometimes it's just a bunch of muck. Sometimes it might be a particular issue. This will help flush it out a little bit, but I just wanted to see, we've been doing a lot of prep work for a while, and so we're kind of stepping up the things that we're doing, and I wanted to see where everybody was at. So, it doesn't matter, like, whatever the reaction is. It's just, I just wanting to see where people are at. So thanks for the feedback. Anybody else?
Yeah, we have some, yeah, Ralph and Denise.
Hey, Ralph.
Hey, Greg, I picked an issue that's been bothering me for some time.
I can't understand you.
An issue that's been bothering me for some time. And after doing this process with the oil, I'm getting that it's not that big of a deal. It's like I was holding on to something from the distant past that didn't really apply.
Okay, good. Think of it kind of like this is kind of like what they do when they go into a sweat lodge. It's kind of similar-ish, not exactly the same, but it's the same idea. And so it does help with like a kind of a detachment of sorts. But like you said, it kind of also can change perspective, and like it's not like it just flushes it out of your body. You literally go, I either need to let this go, I'm letting it go, or it's not that big of a deal, or what was it? But it's actually kind of doing something to your body and your nervous system a little bit, and it's also affecting how you release things out of your feet. And there's still another phase to it, but I mean, this is just like us starting to dance down this like little avenue, but I just wanted to see how people were processing this. It's a very intense practice, like different meditations, they'll have you like put your awareness on the crown for the star for a little tiny bit, but that whole star thing on the crown is a whole practice unto itself, and you do different things with it in the body, and it's actually releasing something in your energy channels when you go through and you do it. And so like it's good, but it's like it also is kind of cleaning house.
Go ahead, Denise, and then Marianne.
Hey, Denise.
Hi. Well, it was one of the first times I've done something like this, but before we added the oil and just having us touch, I almost felt like it was like almost on the edge of a opening of some sort, like a dimensional, almost just a shift, but it was peaceful. It was inviting. It was that was before we used the oils. And then I love the oils. It really helped my whole nervous system, everything calm down, and maybe I could breathe so much better. And then my right foot towards the very end totally opened up that chakra, and it just kind of
nice
radiated up my leg.
Good,
so
good,
thank
good.
you.
Yeah, you're so welcome.
And go ahead, Marianne.
Hey, Marianne.
I have a funny feeling that I was trying to reach back into something that I knew and forgot.
Yeah, that's possible.
That I forgot.
You're right.
It's like, but I don't know. It felt like I'm close, but not quite.
Nice. Yeah, like just be aware and it's not something you have to stimulate to make happen. It will just keep getting closer usually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks. It was
You're
nice.
so welcome. We're going to do it again. I just wanted to see where some people were at.
Yeah, we have a lot of good shares here too. But first, go ahead, Laura, then we'll go.
Hey, Laura.
Hey, Greg.
Hey.
Since this weekend, I've had to take a couple of naps, and I never take naps. And I've just, it just kind of wiped me out. And I've been kind of headachy, not bad, and I was trying to figure out if it was sinus or if it was just whatever's going on. And this just made my headache worse.
It made it worse. Okay.
But, it may have.
Yeah. I mean, part of what could happen with what we did on the weekend is sometimes like when you calm down the sympathetic part of the nervous system or stimulate the parasympathetic, and you've been running a little adrenaline, so like, you have pain syndromes in your knees. So we're prone to that. And so the tendency is like when you calm that stuff down, you'll get where you need to sleep a little bit more for a little bit because you're running on a little bit of low grade adrenaline to deal with the fatigue that comes from just aches and pains and things. And so that part is not too surprising. It doesn't always happen. I mean, sometimes when I do it, this weekend would have, knocked me out. And sometimes I just feel like, oh, I feel more relaxed. It kind of depends on a lot of times how much pain I've been in. And then, but the headache getting worse. Are you prone to headaches?
I used to have sinus headaches frequently, and I'm not saying this is a horrible headache. It's
No,
just,
but still, like,
it's just uncomfortable.
right. Let's see here. Let me look. Let's just try something. Just try doing this, like just inhale. Not so much the materialization breath, but just inhaling up, exhaling down. And then like, see how that does your head. Did that change that at all?
Yeah, I think it did.
Yeah. And how about you? Let's have you do that too. Yeah. So what there's some potentials of things that can happen. And so part of like when how we do the materialization breath, part of it is when your head is down, like so, you're activating the crown, but a lot of it's the forehead, right? And then when your head is all the way back like this, you're actually activating the back head. And so like when you're going back and forth like this, you're moving the energy back and forth between the forehead and the back head, the forehead and the back head, the forehead and the back head. And so at some point what happens sometimes when you're going through and you're doing this practice is it is kind of releasing a kind of energy in the body that goes through the channels, but it kind of makes you process things a little bit more. And if there is like a thought or a thought form that is coming up that is like a repetitive thought or whatever, stress thought, whatever it is, that that motion of going back and forth, because it's moving back and forth between the forehead and the back head, it's literally how you break down thought forms. Your body takes it after that and starts breaking it down in your physiology. So even the movement like this is you're starting to stimulate cerebral spinal fluid movement, which then has a cascading effect on the lymphatic system. And so the lymphatic system also starts to displace this lower vibrational energy. And so anytime that you start to have like a thought coming up, this is tied to the materialization breath. Like when we hold the goal in our heart and then we go through and we do this breath, part of it is if we can get it in the heart, it cleans it up, but then the breath takes it a step further where it's activating the blue pearl, but it's also breaking down any sort of negative thought. Now, we think sometimes of these negative thoughts being something that we've thought of or that we're thinking repetitively. Some of the thoughts in our head are actually a byproduct of the physiology. Like it's a byproduct of neurological functions, endocrine function, overstimulation of a certain system, instinctual responses, and it's up there. And a lot of times it's unconscious. And so by going through and doing this process, you're literally breaking down the conditioning that the physiology has had on the brain function, but also the mental body. And a lot of times because of the stimulation of the cerebral spinal fluid, sometimes it's not even the mental body itself, but just like some brain function. And whenever we've had like a lot of stagnant lymph, a lot of inflammation, like an injury, exposure to something, sometimes we need to do that a bit more because the brain's needing to like detoxify some of that inflammatory material or or just the lack of oxygen sometimes. I mean, that's the thing with the brain. Sometimes it's just simply we didn't get enough blood or oxygen to the brain for periods of time. We got some, but there's times where we can be a little bit hypoxic and it can leave the brain a little bit kind of toxic. And so by going through and doing the practice we're doing, but also combined with the movement, you're kind of unwinding all of this stuff. And if there is some sort of like issue or something that you need to let go of, this process actually kind of makes you detach from it kind of rapidly, so that either you process it and let it go, or it slips out, or it starts to release from the spine, or sometimes it makes it all the way down and release like back out of the feet. And so that's why I was like wanting to check on everybody, see how everybody's doing. So if you're starting to have a little bit of a weird headache, I mean, it's hit or miss. It doesn't always be like, oh, I don't have a response, I'll be fine next time. It's hit or miss. Like, it's just kind of like whatever's up at the surface. Like if you're processing something, you'll probably have a little bit of an emotional thing. If you are not processing, it'll just feel kind of nice. 3 months down the line, if you're processing something and then you're not, you'll feel nice. And if you felt nice and you're processing something, you'll be like, ugh, because it's you're literally manually disentangling something, if that makes sense.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And just, we got some things, shares here. Got sleepy.
Yeah, sleepy.
I felt unblocked.
Yeah.
Body feels like it's vibrating / mild shaking.
Yeah.
I got really spacey from the moment I touched the top of my head.
Yeah.
Everything felt weirdly quiet and still inside and in the environment. The body got quiet. I sensed something that felt like liquid crystalline energy.
Mm.
It feels like my body is vibrating. Yes, it's peaceful. Lots of expelling overall. Felt pretty expansive right away. Forehead pretty buzzy. Got hot.
Yeah.
I actually felt the star on my head immediately without having to think about it.
Oh, nice.
Very restless to start, then gradually much more engaged and soothed, and so glad to keep being reminded to hold the situation in the heart.
Yeah.
My feet frequently have a burning sensation the past few weeks of the Sandalphon work.
Yeah, it's getting to we're in the last layer right now. Oh, okay. Let's do this. Let's just clean this up a little bit more. Let's still go back to, we still have a little bit of time. Let's use the oil that you were just using, and let's continue with doing on the knees, ankles, and feet. And then we're going to use the mantra or the name Sandalphon to take it a little deeper. So begin inhaling. Your awareness is on the back of your knees. Long, slow, deep breaths with your awareness on the back of your knees. And then the ankles, the front of your ankles. And then the soles of your feet. Okay, just let it go for a moment. Okay, your awareness is on. No need to inhale. I'm just gonna chant the name, but I'm gonna guide you with each syllable, right? Your awareness is on the back of your knees. Move your awareness to your ankles, the front of your ankles. The soles of your feet. The back of your knees again. The ankles. Soles of your feet. Just let go. Okay, you guys, we're gonna keep experimenting with some of these things, but I hope you found that a little bit interesting. We're gonna go over to the Astara Prayer Bowl blessing if you'd like to join us, and if not, hopefully we see you tomorrow night or on the weekend. Take care, you guys.